ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप गदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नितिनामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from the first canto. We are on chapter 18. So in 17th chapter, we discussed how Parikshit Maharaj, as he was roaming around in the kingdom, he saw a bull and a cow being beaten by Shudra, a person who was dressed as a king. So Parikshit Maharaj understood that he is Kali personified and he chastised him. He was ready to kill him, but Kali surrendered. And as a result, Parikshit Maharaj could not kill him, and then he asked for few places to stay. So he gave 4 places, Dyutam, Panam, Striyasunam. So what he said, these 4 places are not existing in your kingdom. So please give me the 5th one. And then he gave the place where excess accumulation of gold is there. So after this, he left. But Parikshit Maharaj was such a powerful king that Kali could not spread his influence. And then in the 18th chapter we are discussing today, we discussed till verse number 4. So Sud Goswami continues the narration of the departure. Tasya janma mahascharyam karmani cha granihinaha. Sud Goswami, all the sages, they requested Sud Goswami, please tell us about the birth, activities and the death of Parikshit Maharaj. So birth and activities are over, now the death is about to be described. So we'll continue from the 5th verse. So fourth verse was a very, very beautiful verse. Now Uttama Jushatam Tat Kathamritam Syat Sambhramo Antakalepi Smaratam Tat Padambujam. So those who have dedicated their lives, they never run through any misconceptions, even at the end of their lives. 5th verse. Tavat Kalirna Prabhavet Pravishtopiha Sarvataha Yavadisho Mahanurvyam Abhimanyavaikarat.
As long as the great powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish.
Okay. Tavat Kalir na prabhavet. The prabhava, the influence of Kali will not spread till the time the son of Abhimanyu is present in on this world, on this earth. So that is the power of a devotee king and a powerful king like Parikshit Maharaj. Kali personified that this is his world, his time, Kali Yuga. But still, Parikshit was such a powerful king that Kali could not spread his influence even during his own time. So that was the power of Parikshit Maharaj. So Prabhupada writes, as we have already explained, personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction and he was looking for an opportunity to spread influence, but he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is the way of good government. So Krishna wanted all the Pandavas to become kings because they were devotees, and being devotees, they could make other devotees and they could establish the principles of religion very nicely. So Parikshit was also in their lineage, and he was doing it very, very wonderfully. Okay, next verse. Yasminahani yarhi eva Bhagavan utsasarjagam tadaive hanu vrittosav adharma prabhavakkalihi.
The very day and moment the personality of Godhead Lord Sri Krishna left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of irreligious activities, came into this world.
So as it is described, when Krishna went back, Krishna sudhamo pagate dharma jnanadibhi saha. So dharma and jnana also, they had disappeared, but because Bhagavatam is there, dharma and jnana were protected. So it has actually entered, Kali had entered when Krishna disappeared, but still, because of the influence of the great king like Parikshit, it did not spread its influence. So Prabhupada writes the same similar purport there. The personality of Godhead and his name, form, qualities are all identical. Kali was not able to enter due to the presence of personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the names, forms, quality of the Lord, there is no chance at all that personality of Kali will enter. So even in the devotee community, Prabhupada, he would tell always that if we keep Krishna in the center, then we will be protected. Otherwise, Kali can enter even in spiritual organizations also, and the devotees can get corrupted. And Prabhupada always, he would tell the example of how Gaudiya Math, these devotees, they started quarreling for which room they will get, which position they will get. So that's how, if we are not very, very careful, and if we are not keeping Krishna and the holy names in the center, then it is so very easy that Kali will enter in the devotee community also. Because Prabhupada would say many times that no outsider can do any harm to us. Only the people who are with us, our own people, if we are not united, then our society will be destroyed. So we have to always keep chanting of the holy names in the center. Otherwise, the power, the desire for name, fame, prestige, power, position, that all comes up. And that's how Kali enters gradually. Okay, so the next is a very beautiful verse. Maharaj Parikshit, Prabhupada writes, he was a realist. 7th verse translation. He was a realist. So what he was doing? Nanu dveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk Kushalanyashu siddhyanti netarani kritaniyat.
Maharaj Parikshit was a realist. Like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower, he knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali.
Yes. So that is a devotee. Na anudveshti kalim. He was not envious of Kali. He was not thinking ill of Kali. That is how a devotee is. Even if somebody does harm to a devotee, he never has ill feelings. That's how Yudhishthira Maharaj was. He was a Jatashatru. As one verse will come here in this chapter in the end. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta shipta hatapi nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. Even if somebody tries to harm a devotee, insults a devotee, cheats a devotee, tries to kill him, but still he never retaliates, although he is powerful enough to do so. So a devotee is always a seeker of essence. Saranga iva, just like a honeybee seeks the essence. Sarabhuk. Iva means like. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj was seeing the good thing in Kali Yuga. What is the good thing in Kali Yuga? If you think something bad, you will not get the reaction. But if you think something good, you will get the benefit of doing it. So that is a good thing in Kali Yuga. But nahi hota to, every moment we may be going to hellish situations of life. So that's how the wonderful effect of Kali Yuga is. Kushalani ashu siddhyanti. If you do something, if you think of something good, you will get the effects of that. Na itarani kritani yat. Netarani, all the inauspicious acts, they have to be actually performed to render effects. That's how there's a verse. Kalim sabhajayantyarya gunagya sarabhagina yatra sankirtanena eva sarva swartho bilabhyate. Kali Yuga is worshipped by Arya. Sabhajayanti Arya. Gunagya sarabhagina. They know the essence. Those people who know the essence, they worship Kali Yuga. Because yatra sankirtanena, just by sitting at one place and moving lips, you can achieve success of life. एक जगह बैठ के खाली हरे कृष्णा बोलने से you can get success of life. बाकी ages में it was not possible. Therefore, in the 5th canto, it is described that even the sages of Satya Yuga, they want to take birth in Kali Yuga. Why? Because highest is available so easily. It is like a quota system available in Kali Yuga. Even if a student is brilliant, he thinks, अरे अभी कम मेहनत करके मिल रहा है admission, तो क्यों मेहनत करने का भाई? So although Satyuga people, they can do lots of tapasya, everything, but still, एक जगह बैठ के हरे कृष्णा बोलने से, if somebody is getting pure love of God, what's the problem? So that's how. So in previous ages, nobody would even think about anything sinful. When Yudhishthira and all the Pandavas, when Arjuna married, he brought Draupadi after winning her. So Kunti Maharani, she without seeing, she said, okay, whatever you have brought, distribute. So Yudhishthir said, I think this is according to dharma. Why? Because this is coming in my mind. मतलब मेरे मन में आ रहा है तो गलत कैसे हो सकता है? So अपने our may be the opposite case, So that's how the great devotees were. The great people of the Satya Yuga were. They would not even think of anything wrong. So that is the concession given to the people of Kali Yuga. Just by chanting the names of the Lord, one can achieve success. So Prabhupada writes, the age of Kali is a fallen age. In this fallen age, living beings are in awkward situation. Therefore, the Lord has given some special facilities to them. A living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. It is unimaginable for us, na? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? सोचना तो मतलब desires तो they can come anytime, anywhere. Unconsciously we think of so many things, but no, earlier people are so very sense controlled. In other words, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the result of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Still, people are so sinful. सोचने से भी अच्छा फल मिलता है. Still, people are not even thinking good. अच्छा सोचना भी इतना मुश्किल हो गया आजकल. People, they easily think about wrong things. You ask anybody to find faults in other persons, they'll find n number of faults. कुछ अच्छा बोलिए, अच्छा क्या है इसमें? No good thing in this person. At the end of Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all nefarious activities are present in Kali, there is a great advantage. One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Yatra sankirtanena eva sarva swartho vilabhyate. So in that purport, Chakravarti Thakur writes that those who know the quality of preaching through kirtan, who have accepted the best without the bad, they glorify Kali. So somebody may ask, how can they accept the best part of Kali when Kali is full of faults? So it is answered that yes, Kali Yuga has unlimited faults, but it has unlimited good qualities also. Both things are there. So that is the glory of Kali Yuga. That is the glory of Kirtan. Nahi atap paramo labho dehina bhramyatamiha. There is no better success in this life that which we can achieve in, better than that which we can achieve in Kali Yuga. We can achieve perfection of life just by chanting the names of the Lord. So Prabhupada writes in the end few lines. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. कौन सा है वो वर्स? सद्योरिद्य वरुध्यते यत्र कृतिवी, नहीं वही है ना? This is the same verse, right? सद्योरिद्य वरुध्यते यत्र कृतिवी शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात्. Lord becomes arrested at once within the heart. Okay, so that is the glory of Kali Yuga. In another place, Prabhupada writes that the process of, he quotes a verse from Vishnu Dharma, Nadesha niyamas tatra nakala niyamas tatha no chishtadishu nishedasta Shri Harer namni lubdaka. There is no restriction of name, there is no restriction of place and time in chanting the holy names of the Lord. You can chant anytime, anywhere, in any condition of life. So that is the glorious and merciful nature of holy name. You can do anywhere you can chant the names of the Lord. Okay, next verse. Kim nu baleshu shurena kalina dhira bhurina bhiruna apramatta pramatteshu yoriko nrishu vartate.
Maharaja Parikshit considered that less intelligent men might find the personality of Kali to be very powerful, but that those who are self-controlled, they have nothing to fear. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care of the foolish, careless persons.
So, kim no baleshu shurena. So, those who are less intelligent, they will be affected by Kali Yuga. But those who are apramattaha and those who are dhira, those who are sense controlled and those who are not mad with sense gratification, they will never get affected by Kali Yuga. They have nothing to fear. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care of foolish, careful persons. So it is very commonly described by Srila Prabhupada that those who are foolish, they don't take to this process of Krishna consciousness. Bhakti is for intelligent people. Where it is said, which verse says this? Only an intelligent person takes to chanting.
Yajanti sumedhasa.
Yajanti sumedhasaha. So only an intelligent people take to this process of chanting. Not everyone will take, because bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many lifetimes, an intelligent person, a jnani, becomes a devotee. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj thought, anyways, sober people will not be affected. I'll protect the less intelligent people. So Prabhupada writes very clearly, those who are not devotees are unintelligent and careless. Unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot be a devotee of the Lord. Those who are not devotees of the Lord fall prey to the actions of Kali. It will not be possible to bring us about a saner condition in the society unless we are prepared to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaj Parikshit. That is, propagation of devotional service. So only devotional service can make a person intelligent. Otherwise, nunam pramattaha kurute vikarma. People have become mad trying to enjoy sense gratification. They forget the real value of life. That's how material nature does to people. She completely makes a person fool and mad. Doesn't even realize that the more I will do sense gratification, the more I will be suffering. वो equation समझता ही नहीं. We also have heard, but still वो इधर से इधर नहीं गया अभी तक. We have just theoretically understood. But when sense gratification comes, then we question, then we think, because the temptations are still there. So therefore, the material conditioning is so very strong. The more we take to this process, the more we get purified, the more we will develop this unconscious incompetence, as there are 4 levels. Unconscious incompetence. Then conscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence means he's not even aware that usko nahi aata hai. Then he's aware that at least, just like some people, they are not singers and they don't know that they are not singers. उनको लगता है मैं तो इतना अच्छा गा लेता हूं. Unconsciously incompetent. Then somebody becomes, realize that oh, मुझे गाना नहीं आता है. Consciously incompetent. Then he starts working on it. Of course, वो यहाँ पे सॉफ्टवेयर रहेगा तभी जाएगा, नहीं जाएगा तो कितना भी प्रैक्टिस कर लो नहीं होता है. But still, just to give an example, then if he starts, doing practice, then conscious competence. He is conscious about his competence, and then when he is perfected, unconscious competence. He doesn't have to endeavor to sing nicely. He can sing anytime. So that's how at our level we may be unconsciously incompetent or consciously incompetent. In the beginning of our bhakti, we are unconsciously incompetent. We didn't know that we are attached to sense gratification. माया से दूर रहना चाहिए. Outside people, they think माया से दूर रहना मतलब मजा क्या है फिर लाइफ में. So that's how we have come from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, then conscious competence also. And then unconscious competence is a level of a pure devotee. So that will also come by the practice of bhakti only. Okay, so next verse. Upavarnitam etadva punyam parikshitam maya vasudeva kathopetam आख्यानम यदौ पृच्छता.
O sages, as you did ask me, now I have described almost everything regarding the narrations about Lord Krishna in connection with the history of the pious Maharaj Parikshit.
Upavarnitam etadyaha. So now Sud Goswami is saying, O sages, whatever you had asked me, aprachata, you had asked me about the birth and the activities of Parikshit. So I have described everything in detail. Punyam parikshitam. So the stories of the Lord and stories of the devotees of the Lord, they are all powerful. They are equally potent. They are punyam. Vasudeva kathopetam, because devotee katha and Krishna katha, they are all related only. So therefore it is all auspicious. Kova bhagavatastasya punya shlokedya karmana shuddhi kamo na shrunyad yashak kalimalapaham. Who is that personality? Who wants to get purified, and he will not take shelter of the pastimes of the Lord and the devotees of the Lord. So that is the glory of the devotee katha, Vaishnava katha. So therefore anybody who endeavors to hear from the spiritual masters and the seniors, he should hear about the devotee katha. Shrutasya pumsam shuchira shramasya nanvanjasa suribhiriditovarthaha tat tadgunanu shravanam mukunda padarvindam hridayeshu yesham shrutasya pumsam suchira shrama. If somebody is really endeavoring hard for a long time, what he should hear? Nanvanjasa suribhi. He should hear about the great devotees because they have Krishna in their heart. Tattad gunanu shravanam. Please hear about their guna, their pastimes, because padarvindam hridayeshu yesham. They have Krishna in their heart. So that is equally powerful. Next verse. Prabhupada writes in the purport. Bhagavatam is a history of the activities of the Lord, and activities of the Lord are performed in relationship with the devotees. History of the devotees is not different from the history of the Lord Krishna's activities. A devotee of the Lord regards both the activities of the Lord and those of his pure devotees are on an equal level, for they are all transcendental. There should be no confusion about it. Devotee कथा ही करते रहेंगे तो भगवान से कैसे संबंध हो जाएगा? That's what Dhruva Maharaj is asking. Bhakti muhu pravahtam toime prasango, please give me association of devotees. So Lord is asking, Are, do you have any plans to cross this ocean of material existence? Devotee के साथ रहोगे तो पार कैसे करोगे? ये नांजसोल्बनमुरु व्यसनम भवाब्धिम नेश्ये भवद गुण कथामृतपानमत्ता. I am not even caring about that. वो तो बाई प्रोडक्ट हो जाएगा. You know, that is not, without endeavor I will cross this. So that is the glory of association of Vaishnavas. Next verse. Yayaha katha bhagavataha kathaniyoru karmanaha gunakarmashraya pumbhi samsevyasta bhushubihi.
Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead, who acts wonderfully.
So now from 10th to 23rd verse, sages are discussing the glorious, the nectarine glories of hearing Krishna Katha. What is the power of hearing Krishna Katha? What is the glory in that? Yayaha Katha Bhagavataha. The topics of the Supreme Lord, they are kathaniyoru. What is the meaning of kathaniya? They are worth speaking. Anybody remembers any other word ending with kathaniya? Worth speaking, kathaniya. Worth hearing. What is that called as? Shravaniya. Worth chanting. Bhajaniya. Worth taking darshan. क्या होगा? Darshaniya. Worth desiring. Sprihaniya. You know, Sprihaniya Shila. There is a word which comes. There is a verse. So that's how the wonderful pastimes of the Lord are. They are Darshaniya, Shravaniya, Sprihaniya, Ikshaniya. You know, and Smaraniya, Kathaniya. Kathaniyoru karmana. The wonderful acts of the Lord are kathaniya. They are worth speaking. Because guna karma ashraya kumbhi. Because the pastimes of the Lord, they are full of guna and karma of the Lord. The qualities of the Lord and the activities of the Lord. Therefore, some say vyasta bubhushubhi. Bubhushubhi means those who want their welfare. Apni bhalai chahte hain to suniye. You know, that is what is being spoken here. Anybody who wants to get benefited, they should hear about Krishna. Because none of the other things of the world will benefit a person. Tasmad bharat sarvatma bhagwan ishwaro hari shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyascha ichchata abhayam. If you want fearlessness in life, please hear, chant, and remember the glories of the Lord. That is the only thing which can give fearlessness in this world. Otherwise, all the things of the world, they are sources of fear. Right. Somebody can read the purport.
The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities, and names of Lord Sri Krishna pushes one towards the eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowing him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Such transcendental, glorified activities of Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are considered to be material awards for the conditioned living being. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss.
So anywhere this remedy or anything related to medicine, aushadhi comes, anybody remembers any verse where holy names and the pastimes, they are considered to be the medicine for this material existence? Nivritta tarshay rupagiyamana Bhava Aushadha, it is a medicine to cross this ocean, to treat this Bhava Roga. There is a verse in, I think, Padyavali. Vyamoham prasham aushadham muni mano vritti pravritti aushadham. So many the word aushadha is coming. I don't remember the exact complete verse. Daitendrarti karaushadham tribhuvane sanjeevanaik aushadham bhaktya tanta bhavabhaya. I'll just find out. It is a very beautiful where holy name is described compared to aushadhi. Vyamoham. I think you'll find out. Vyamoham prasham aushadham. Okay, I'll find out. Okay. Vyamoham prashamaushadham muni mano vritti pravrityaushadham daitendrarti karaushadham tribhuvane sanjeevanaikaushadham bhaktya tanta hitaushadham bhavabhaya pradhvamsanaikaushadham shreyah prapti karaushadham piva mana Shri Krishna divyaushadham. So this is a instruction to the mind, request to the mind. Oh mind, Mukund Mala Sutra, yes. Oh mind, please drink, Piba Mana. Please drink the Sri Krishna Divya Aushadha. Drink the transcendental medicine of Krishna's glories. It is a perfect medicine for curing the disease of bewilderment. Vyamoham prasham aushadham. Complete bewilderment is there in this world. Nunam pramattaha. How to come out of this? Only Krishna's glories. Muni mano vritti pravritti aushadham. And this is for inspiring sages to engage their minds in meditation. And then it is a sanjeevani. It is a medicine which can enliven the world. Okay, so many things. Bhava bhaya pradhvamsanaik aushadham. It alone is the medicine for restoring the three worlds to life and for bestowing unlimited blessings on Supreme Lord's devotees. Indeed, it is the only medicine that can destroy one's fear of material existence. So that's how the glories of the Lord are. They are kathaniya, shravaniya, smaraniya, ikshaniya, darshaniya, bhajaniya. So we should desire to hear, remember, see the beautiful form of the Lord. Next verse. Rishaya uchuhu Suta jiva sama saumya Shashwati vishadam yashaha Yastvam samshati krishnasya Martyanam amritam hinaha.
अमृतम हीरः
Who said, O great Sutta Goswami, may you live many years and have eternal fame. For you are speaking very nicely about the activities of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. This is just like nectar for mortal beings like us.
That is the benefit of speaking Krishna Katha. You get blessings of devotees. Bolte raho aap bas. You are enlivening us. Please keep on reciting the glories of the Lord. Sut jiva jio. Jeete raho. Jiva sama saumya. You live for many, many years. O Saumya, O grave one. Shashwati, and may you have Shashwati Yashaha. May you have eternal fame. Only a devotee has eternal fame. All the big kings of the world, they have come and gone. But the devotee's fame is always fresh. As one devotee was saying, that whoever may be a great king or politician of this world, none of them are actually like Prabhupada, who is worshipped actually. People, they make all the statues of all the politicians and the birds come and pass stool and go. Nobody cares for them after they are gone. And even while they are living, till the time they are on the post, people worship them. Ek baar post chala gaya, the people don't even look at them. But Srila Prabhupada, he is being worshipped all over the world in more than maybe 1,000 temples now. ISKCON has 1,000 temples, maybe. उससे ज़्यादा ही रहेंगे. Everywhere Prabhupada is worshipped and he is offered aarti every day. किसका आरती होता है रोज? You know, nobody, and with awe and reverence and with love and devotion. That's how devotees' fame is always eternal. Vishadam yashaha shashwati vishadam yastvam shamshasi krishnasya, because you are speaking about Krishna so very nicely. And that Krishna Katha is nectar. So therefore, that is the only thing which can give life to people of the world. Yasya akhilami vahabi sumangalai vacho vimishra gunakarma janmabhi prananti shumbhanti punanti vaijagat yastad virakta shabashobhanamati. All the sins of the world, they can be destroyed by only Katha, which is full of guna karma of the Lord. Otherwise, it is all decoration of a dead body. Nothing will happen. No benefit. So Prabhupada writes, he quotes this 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam. Such acts are called as divyam. This means that he does not act or take his birth like ordinary living being, nor is his body material or changeable. Where Krishna in Bhagavad Gita tells that my body and my birth is not like you, O Arjuna. कौन सा है वो? उसके नहीं, उसमें नहीं, sorry, not that. When Arjuna asks, you are saying you spoke to Vyaswan, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? Vyaswan is millions of years old, you know. So then he says, aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivasvataha katham etad vijaniyam. So क्या बोलते हैं वो? What does Krishna say? Bahuni. हाँ, बोलिए पूरा, बोलिए श्लोक.
बहुनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि न त्वं वेत्थ परन्तप. Next
verse. That is the answer which I am looking for. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san. I am unborn, eternal, I am the Lord of all the living entities. So therefore, Lord's birth is not like ours. So Prabhupada is writing that here. And one who understands this fact, either from the Lord or his representatives, is not reborn. Such an enlightened soul is admitted into the spiritual realm and engages in transcendental loving service. Therefore, the more we hear the activities of the Lord, the more we can know about his transcendental nature. Although we can never know Krishna's quality in full, but still we should hear about Krishna's qualities to purify our heart and purify our tongue. To speak, we should speak to purify our tongue. Otherwise, tongue becomes like what? If you're not speaking about Krishna, unchaste wife, you know. Vidura is saying, nahi, Maitreya bol rahe na. Tathapi kirtayamyanga yathamati yathashrutam kirtir harer swam satkartum giram anya abhidha asati. Whereas this comes, the tongue becomes unchaste. If we are not speaking about Krishna, Vilevatoru krama mein aata hai na. If you're not hearing about Krishna, ears are like holes where snakes live. And if you are not speaking about Krishna, jihva asati. Jihva is like a prostitute. Okay, so then next verse. Karmanyasmin anashvase Pratmanam bhavan apayati govinda
have just begun the performance of his spiritual activity. A sacrificial fire certainty of its result due to the main imperfections in our action. Our bodies have become black from the smoke. but we are factually pleased by the nectar of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, Govinda, which you are distributing.
So they had started 1,000 years old sacrifice, right? It seems that they have already done for many years. बोले एक ही फायदा हुआ है, पूरा काला काला हो गया है. We have become black because of the smoke coming out of the fire. That is the only benefit we have achieved. उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं हुआ है. धूम धूम्रात्मनाम भवान. हमारा शरीर हमारा मन दोनों काले हो गए हैं. So that is the extent they are telling. Atma, Prabhupada writes, tinged body and the mind. Nothing good has happened to us so far. But because now you are speaking Hari Katha, Apayayati Govinda Pad Padmasavam. Now we have become pleased. Abhi thoda acha lag raha hai. Abhi tak to it was all, when smoke goes in the eyes, it all creates trouble only, irritation. So that's how in Kali Yuga, anyways, there are no qualified Brahmanas. Even to chant in the earlier times, to do fire means you have to recite mantras and the fire should start on its own. And small error can spoil the whole sacrifice. And we know the story of Vritrasur, how he appeared. वो इंद्र शत्रु की जगह क्या था? What was the exact word? So Twashta Rishi wanted to create a demon who will kill Indra, but there was some meter difference. थोड़ा सा इंद्र शत्रु ज्यादा हो गया. Indra Shatru something, I don't remember. So he created a demon who will be killed by Indra. So 1 meter इधर तो क्या बोलता है वो priest, किसी को कुछ मालूम नहीं पड़ता है. Only that person knows. और कई बार we have one devotee in GEV, he makes sound as if he is chanting some mantra. लगता है मंत्र बोल रहा है कुछ. So that's how all the people of all the Brahmanas of Kali Yuga are. They chant few mantras, and apart from that, nobody is even concerned about that. कितना टाइम लगेगा और कितना खर्चा लगेगा वो बता दो. बाकी जो मंत्र बोलना है बोलो और खत्म करो और जाओ. So Prabhupada writes, sacrificial fire kindled by the sages of Naimisharanya was certainly full of smoke and doubts. So many flaws. They had so many doubts also. क्यों कर रहे हैं हम? What will be the benefit? कुछ होने वाला है कि नहीं? So doubts, they are demons. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you are not having that faith, that process will not give the result. Which verse says this? If you are doing something without faith, anything you do, either a sacrifice or a charity or anything, without faith, you will not get the result of it. 17th chapter, last verse. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapas taptam kritam chayat asat iti uchyate partha nachatat pretya noiha. Anything you do without faith, it will not give you any result. So therefore they were doubtful. ये process का कुछ फायदा होने वाला है कि नहीं? So what was the flaw? Prabhupada writes, in current times, the first flaw is that there are no expert Brahmanas. Second flaw, any discrepancy spoils the whole show. The good result of tilling a paddy field depends on providential rain, and therefore the result is uncertain. Similarly, performance of any kind of sacrifice in this age of Kali is also uncertain, because the Brahmanas are greedy and they are not expert also in chanting mantras. So therefore, all these sages are saying, केवल हमारा मन और हमारे शरीर काले हुए हैं और कुछ नहीं हुआ है. धूम धूम्रात्मनाम भवान. But now we are getting benefited. Then next is a very beautiful verse. Okay, then Prabhupada quotes a verse from Brahma Vaibhav Puran, where Vishnu tells Shiva that in the age of Kali, men full of anxieties of various kinds can vainly labor in fruitive activity and philosophical speculations. But when they are engaged in devotional service, the result is sure and certain, and there is no loss of energy. Tulayam lavenapi punarbhavam
न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवम्
भगवत संगी संगस्य
भवत्सङ्गी संगस्य
मर्त्यानां किं मुताशिषः
मर्त्यानां
The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death.
Tulayam lavenapi. What is a lover? Exactly. In the third canto, there is a whole chapter, na? Time. So lover is there.
Moment.
लव क्षण और क्या क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग, और भी कुछ तो रहता है ना, 2-3 शब्द, निमेश. So everything has a particular value. So lava matra sadhu sanga. Tulayam lavena. You cannot even compare lava association with swarga or apunarbhava. Association of a devotee is million times greater than attainment of heavenly planets or liberation. Bhagavat Sangi Sangha. Association of devotee is much more beneficial. Then what to speak of worldly benedictions? Martyanam ki mutashisha. Heavenly pleasures to question mein hi nahi hai. Worldly pleasures are insignificant. So Chakravarti Thakur writes an amazing analysis of this verse. He says, we speak of the glories of the great association of great ocean of association, glories of great ocean of association of devotees like you. We should not compare this with the results of karma. Karma karne se kya swarg milega? It is even not in comparison. We will not compare the blessings of this world with your association. So not this world's association, not this world's benefit, not the benefit of karma or jnana. Arey, lava matra se itna hota hai. What to speak of extended association? And what to speak of association with a devotee having bhav? What to speak of association of a devotee having prema? तो खाली एक साधक भक्त के साथ संग करेंगे तो इतना फायदा हो रहा है. So we cannot even imagine. And then he gives an analogy. Just like one cannot compare a mustard seed to Mount Meru. कर ही नहीं सकते compare. So that is the association of a devotee. It is uncomparable. So therefore devotee association is so very rare. Another place, अभी यहाँ पे तो लव मात्र है. There is one verse where it is said shanardhenapi tulaye. Half a moment also is enough. One moment is enough. Half a moment is also enough. Shanardhenapi tulaye na swargam na punarbhavam bhagavad sangi sangasya martyanam ki mutasisha. Same verse comes there exactly. So there, that is the power of devotee association. Anybody remembers any other verses glorifying association of devotees? So many unlimited verses are there. एक दो बताई दीजिए. महत् सेवाम द्वारम आहुर विमुक्ते. Very common. महत् सेवाम द्वारम आहुर विमुक्ते तमोद्वारम योषिताम संगी संगम. So that is another very. Prabhupada quotes this verse many times. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimukte. By association of devotees, one can get liberated. Prabhupada writes in the purport, one cannot compare association of devotee to anything material. Men who are addicted to material happiness aspire to reach heavenly planets. And those who are advanced in material philosophical speculation, they aspire for liberation. When one becomes frustrated with all kinds of material advancement, one desires the opposite type of liberation, which is called as apunarbhava. But the pure devotee is not interested in any of this. It is all phantasmagoria. ISKCON में आने के पहले ये सब word सुना था क्या हमने? Phantasmagoria, you know. Kaivalyam narakayate tridashpur akash pushpayate. Very famous verse by Prabodhananda Saraswati. Liberation is hell for a devotee. Narakayate. It is like tridashpur akash pushpayate. It is like a flowers in the sky which does not exist. So therefore, devotee association can give us the highest. It is more powerful, and therefore it is said that association of devotee is more powerful than association of Krishna himself. Because association of devotees can give us, bhava to relish the association of Krishna. That comes only in association of devotees. So therefore, devotees, even after Krishna appears in front of them, they are asking for one thing: devotee association. Prahlad Maharaj bhi wahi bol rahe hain. Dhruva is also saying the same thing. Whoever, Parikshit Maharaj also asks the same thing. So that is the glorious association of the devotee of the Lord. In 12th canto, there is a section when Markandeya Muni is doing tapasya and Parvati and Shiva is going in the airways. And Parvati sees Markandeya. And she is telling Lord Shiva, please give him some benediction. He is such a great, pure soul. So Shivji bolte hain, he doesn't need anything. But still we should go and meet him, because meeting such souls like Markandeya is beneficial for people like us. So, because he is a great devotee of the Lord. So that is how even Lord Shiva hankers for association of pure devotees. Then Prabhupada also quotes this verse. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimukte tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. Materialist is called, last few lines of the purport, materialist is called Yoshit Sangi, or one who is much attached to material entanglement. Such attachment is conditioned because it drives away the benedictions of life and prosperity. Opposite is Bhagavat Sangi. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya. This word comes here in this words. Okay, so then Suta Goswami may ask, it is true that association of devotees is praiseworthy, because without that, one cannot attain a taste for hearing about Krishna. We have attained that taste. Then what should we say about continuous association? We have attained the taste. So Suta Goswami may say, we have already attained the taste, right? What is the benefit of association of devotees? You get taste for Krishna Katha. You all have already attained the taste for Krishna Katha. Abhi kya zarurat hai sang ka? So then they speak the next verse. Ko nama tripye rasavit kathayam.
Ko nama tripye
Mahatamai kanta parayanasya.
Mahatma kanta parana
Natam gunanam gunasya jagmu.
Natam gunanam gunasya
Yogeshwaraye bhavapadma mukhyah.
Yogeshwaraye padma mukhya. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, Govinda, is the exclusive shelter for all great living beings, and his transcendental attributes cannot be measured by such masters of mystic power of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Can anyone who is expert in releasing nectar, rasa, ever be fully satiated by hearing topics about him, Hare Krishna?
Ko nama tripyed. So Suta Goswami may say, you have already attained taste for hearing, right? So why do you need an association? Why you are glorifying, my association? So they are saying that who can be satisfied hearing Krishna Katha? Ko nama tripyed rasavit. The person who knows the rasavit, usko taste nahi hai, so he will not be able to relish. But they are saying we have attained that taste for Hari Katha, rasavit. So person who is rasavit, he will never leave the chance to hear Hari Katha. Mahatamaikanta parayanasya. The Supreme Lord, who is the ultimate shelter. Ekanta. He is the only shelter for all the living beings. And therefore his qualities are na antam. Nobody can count the glories of the Lord. And even Shivji, Brahma, Hava, Padma, Mukhya, nobody can count the glories of the Lord. We want to hear all the glories. Glories are unlimited. आप बोलते रहो. You don't stop. We want to hear more and more and more of the glories of Krishna. As there was some devotee, Pradyumna Mishra, he goes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he asks, please speak about Krishna Katha. I want to hear. So Mahaprabhu tells, Krishna Kathaya Ruchi Tomar Bada Bhagyavan. Krishna Kathaya Ruchi se yai sei Bhagyavan. You have developed taste for Hari Katha. You are so very fortunate. So therefore they are saying, we have this taste for Hari Katha. Please keep on speaking. So that's why we want your association. Please go on describing the glories of the Lord, because Krishna Katha is all attractive. It attracts everyone. Even Atma Ramas, they get attracted. Where it is described? Atma Ramascha Munayo. Even the great sages and perfected beings are also attracted. Shukdev Goswami himself tells in the second canto, Parinishitopi Nairgunye Uttam Shlok Leelaya Grhit Cheta Rajarshe Akhyanam Tat Adhitavan. I was situated in monism completely. Ekantmati thi meri. Still, when I heard from Vyasadev the glories of Krishna, he heard two verses which really hit him. Which were the two verses which transformed Shukdev Goswami? One was glorifying the beauty of the Lord. What is that verse? Barha Pidam. And another was glorifying the merciful nature of the Lord. Aho Bhakyam. Yes. So the beauty and the mercy attracts the Lord, attracts anyone. If a person is beautiful, and he may be attractive. Beautiful people are attractive, but a person who is merciful, he is more attractive. So that's how the Lord's glories are. So that attracts even Parinishchitopi Nairgunye. So Prabhupada writes, Lord Shiva and Brahma are two chief of the Devatas. They are full of mystic powers. Still, they cannot understand the glories of the Lord. Brahma is counted among the living beings, but he is the highest of all. And why is the greatest of all such beings so much attached to transcendental topics of Krishna? Because he is a reservoir of all enjoyment. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse from Padma Puran. Ramante yogino nante satyananda chidatmane iti rama padena param brahma vidhiyate. Prabhupada quotes this verse many times. Ramante yogino anante satyanande. There is only true pleasure. Satya ananda keval ek hi jagah. That is in Krishna Katha. All the pleasures of this world are false pleasures. They look like pleasures, but it is full of misery only. Yehi sansparshajam bhoga dukkhayo naya evate. Prabhupada writes that in this world, there is a law of satiation. But in transcendence, there is no satiation. So you can keep on hearing the same Hari Katha unlimited times, but still will not be satisfied. Vayam tuna vitripyama. We are not satisfied. Please keep on speaking. And then they tell little more. They said, so in this verse, they said, we are rasvit. So then in the next verse, they are telling, see, there are three things: a speaker, a hearer, and the subject matter. So you are the best of the speakers, and we are eager to hear. And the topics are the topics of Krishna. इससे अच्छा combination possible ही नहीं है. Please keep on speaking. तन्नो भवान वै भगवत प्रधानो महत्तमैकान्त परायणस्य हरेरुदारं चरितं विशुद्धं
हरेरुदारं
शुश्रूषतां नो वितनोतु विद्वन्
शुश्रूषतां मे वितनेतु विद्वन्.
O Sutta Goswami, you are a learned and devotee of the Lord because the personality of Godhead is your chief object of service. Therefore, please describe to us the pastimes of the Lord, which are above all material consumption, for we are anxious to such messages.
So this combination can bring revolution in the lives of people. If the devotee speaker is a pure devotee or who has taste for Harikatha, you are Bhagavat Pradhan. You are the best of the devotees. And Mahattam Ekant Parayana, you have taken shelter of the Lord. And Shushrushatam, we are eager to hear. You are best devotee and we are eager. And what topics we are discussing? Udaram, Harer Udaram Charitam Vishuddham. They are magnanimous and pure pastimes of the Lord. Vishuddham, they are transcendental. So therefore, please speak. Prabhupada writes. Somebody can read the purport.
The speaker on the transcendental
Activities of the Lord
speaker on the transcendental activities of the Lord should have only one object.
Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the audience for such topics should be anxious to hear about it. When such a combination is possible, namely a qualified speaker and a qualified audience, it is then and there very much congenial to continue discourses on the transcendence. Professional speakers and a materially absorbed audience cannot derive real benefit from such discourses. Professional speakers make a show of Bhagavata Sapta for the sake of family maintenance, and the materially disposed audience hears such discourses of Bhagavad Sapta for some material benefit, namely religiosity, wealth, gratification of the senses, or liberation.
Okay. So that's how the topic should be only about Krishna, because most of the time when the speaker is speaking with some ulterior motive, not with a pure intention of giving the pure message of the Lord, then the audience doesn't get benefited and speaker also doesn't get purified. Avaishnava mukhodgirnam putam harikathamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishta yathapaya. So therefore, Prabhupada was very against all these Bhagavad Sapta. Prabhupada would say, what is the Sapta? Bhagavad should be heard always. Nityam Bhagavad seva. Ek saptah mein kya sunenge? Neither the speaker is interested in speaking pure katha and audience, they come only for pious benefits. They know Bhagavatam mein baithne se punya milta hai. They're not interested in Harikatha and Bhakti. So therefore, the speaker and the audience both should be qualified. And Prabhupada was really strong. Materially absorbed audience cannot derive real benefit. Such Bhagavatam discourses are not purified from the contamination of material qualities. So therefore, whenever somebody is speaking Bhagavatam, the intention should be pure. Otherwise, he will not be benefited. And he will, after all, whenever a person is speaking, he may speak the same words, but the nature of spiritual discourses are, a speaker not just speaks whatever he has heard, he speaks his own convictions also. That is conveyed without even speaking anything. That is a subtle vibration which he is creating when that person is speaking Bhagavatam. If he is not pure in his intentions, he will transmit the same vibrations and people will not get purified and they will not get close to Krishna. That's why when Srila Prabhupada spoke, so many people became devotees. And whenever a devotee who is, and that is not just for pure devotees, any sadhaka. Pure means he is endeavoring to be pure. That is required. Otherwise, in one place Prabhupada writes, anybody who is not a pure devotee should not sit on the Vyasasana and give Bhagavatam class. कोई मिलेगा ही नहीं भागवतम देने के लिए, 4-5 लोग ही मिलेंगे तो साल में 4-5 ही भागवतम क्लास हो रहा है, क्यों? प्योर डिवोटी 4-5 बार आ रहे हैं. So that is not the case. Anybody who is sincerely endeavoring to be pure, he is qualified to speak Bhagavatam, not anyone else. So Krishna, he sees the intentions, he is Bhavagrahi. Prabhupada writes, now Bhagavad Saptas are held for 7 days only. And after finishing the show, both the audience and the speaker become engaged in material activities. So it is a common phenomenon nowadays. Before speaking Bhagavatam or any discourse, the speaker takes some, alcohol or thoda sa, aisa andar se aana chahiye na, So that's one of the persons who claims himself to be avatar of Krishna. Mumbai ka hi hai. So, and one of our devotees, he was telling that uske brother-in-law, he goes, and he was telling that he took me once also. So this person, before going on the stage, he went, just below the stage, they had a small room, and there he was taking alcohol, and all his disciples, they were supplying. Guru Dakshina bolke, alcohol leke ja rahe hain. And he is drinking, and then after that, in that state, he goes and speaks, and everybody is hearing. So that is the sad situation nowadays, and thousands of people, they get attracted because it is the age of cheaters and cheated. So therefore, it is our fortune that we have received such a pure message through a pure parampara. So he's continuing. Next verse. Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit Yena Pavargyakyamadabhra Buddhihi Jnanena Vaiyasaki Shabditena Bheje Khagendra Dhvajapada Moolam.
O Sud Goswami, please describe those topics of the Lord by which Maharaj Parikshit, whose intelligence was fixed on liberation, attained the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of Garuda, the king of birds. Those topics were vibrated by the son of Vyas, Srila Sukdev. Hare Krishna.
So now Sut Goswami is answering. So the sages, they had asked previously the question, please describe the death. So now they are the death of Parikshit. So now again they are telling that Savai Mahabhagavat Parikshit. Parikshit was Mahabhagavat, and Apavarg Akhyam Buddhi, his intelligence was fixed in liberation. And Jnanena Vaiyasaki. Who is Vaiyasaki? Shukdev Goswami, Vyasa Putra. So by hearing the Jnana from Vaiyasaki, from Vyasadev, his intelligence became fixed in liberation. And Bheje Khagendra Dhvaj Pad Moolam. And he was taken to the lotus feet of the Lord. Dhvaj, Khagendra Dhvaj Pad Moolam. So Khaga Indra means Garuda. So lotus feet of the Lord, they are shelter for Garuda. So Sut Goswami is telling, Sut Goswami may ask that, okay, by Jnana one attains liberation. Why do you not desire liberation? Why do you want devotion? So sages, they say that for us, we are devotees. And what is this Jnana? You are saying about Jnana gives to liberation. As far as we are concerned, our interest is only endeavoring for that Jnana which will bring us close to the Lord. There are three types of Jnana: Atma Jnana, Ishwar Jnana, and Kaivalya Jnana. Out of these three, which is not favorable for devotee? Atma Jnana, Ishwar Jnana, Kaivalya Jnana. Kaivalya Jnana, knowledge of impersonal liberation. It is not Mayavad. It is impersonal knowledge, the knowledge of the impersonal aspect of the Lord. Why it is not favorable? It is not a false knowledge. It is true knowledge. It is not a Mayavad we are talking about. We are talking about Brahmavad, impersonal Jnana, because that Jnana doesn't have the feelings of servitude. That Jnana makes the heart hard. So therefore, devotees are not interested in that type of Jnana. So the sages, they are telling that this Jnana, we are interested in that Jnana which will help us to cultivate the devotional service of the Lord. So Sut Goswami may say, well, in the 12th canto, it is said that Parikshit Maharaj attained liberation. So the sages, they said, yes, that is true. He attained Apavarga, But apavarga means what? Apavarga means Khagendra Dhwaj Pada Moolam. He attained the lotus feet of the Lord. He didn't enter into Brahman. So therefore, please speak about that supreme devotee's death. How he attained the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so we'll go to the next verse. Another very beautiful verse is coming. Tanna param punyam asamvritartham आख्यानमत्यद्भुत योगनिष्ठम् आख्याह्यनन्ता चरितोपपन्नम् आरीक्षितं भागवताभिरामम्
Thus, please narrate to us the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They were spoken to Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to the pure devotees, being full of Bhakti yoga.
So, param punyam asamvritartham, they are all pure. And Tannah param punyam asamvritartham, they are purifying and they are supreme. Akhyanam atyadbhut, they are wonderful. Yoganishtham, they are full of bhakti yoga. Therefore, Akhyahi, please narrate. Ananta Charita, please narrate the narrations of the unlimited as they were spoken to Parikshitam. As they were spoken to Parikshit Maharaj, we want to hear the same narrations. The same narrations which Shukdev Goswami spoke to Parikshit, we want to hear because Bhagavata Abhiramam. Because these narrations are very dear to devotees. Devotees are not interested in any other thing of this world. Another meaning of Bhagavata Abhiramam means they were spoken to Parikshit, who was Bhagavata Abhiramam, who was dear to devotees. So there are two meanings of Bhagavata Abhiramam. So they are glorifying Bhagavatam here. Please speak about Bhagavatam. It is narrations of the Supreme Lord, full of narrations of the Supreme Lord. So when requested in this way again and again, now Suta Goswami is expressing his humility in the next verse. He says, I am not qualified. Who am I? He is not even a Brahmana. He is actually Shudra. He is Suta. Suta is not a Brahmana. He is a Shudra. But he is saying, who am I? We'll recite this verse. Suta uvacha aho vayam janma bhrito adya hasma vriddhanuvrityapi viloma jatah taushkulyamadhim vidhunoti shighram mahattamanam abhidhana yogah.
Sri Sutta Goswami said, "O God, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can, without delay, cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower births."
Aho, O God, Vayam, we are Janma Bhrito Adya Hasma. We are promoted in birthright today. Vriddhanu Vritya, just by following the Vriddhas. Sato Vritte, where it comes? Sato Vritte. Nectar of instruction.
Sangottaga Sato Vritte.
उत्साह निश्चय धैर्य तत्त कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागा सतो वृत्ते षड्भिर भक्ति विनश्यति प्रसिद्धति। देख रहा हूं सब लोग हैं कि हैं? ओके। So Vriddhanuvritya, just by following the great authorities, although we are Viloma Jata, we are born in a mixed caste, Daushkulyam Adhim, we have become free of Daushkulya, Vidhunoti. That fault is being cleansed off. And this happens Mahattamanam Abhidhan Yoga. Just by conversing with great souls, one gets purified. So Kiba Vipra, Kibanyashi, Shudra Kinene, say Gai Krishna Tattaveta, say Guru Hoy. Just by taking to the process of bhakti, one gets purified. The birth doesn't matter. Any other references which tells this? Birth doesn't matter. Any devotee is much far better than a Brahmana or any other person. Bhakti purifies all the disqualifications. Sorry?
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is or a Vaishnava Sudra, it doesn't matter that he should be free of first class.
Any other? Aho bat shwapacho ato gariyan yad jihvagre vartate namatubhyam te putapah te juhu shashnurarya brahmanuchur namagranantiyete. Anywhere else? Birth is not a disqualification. Nectar of instruction, there is a verse. Buddh buddh phena pankai. What is it? I think 7th or 8th. Gangam bhasam nakhalu buddh buddh phena pankai. है एक ऐसा एक नेक्टर ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन में ऐसा एक श्लोक आता है जिसमें रूप गोस्वामी describes that one should not see a Vaishnava by external bodily point of view. Even if somebody is born in a Western body or has some defects, but if he is a devotee, then he is free of all the contamination. Just like if people go to Ganga and there is some foam, some dirt, they just remove that dirt and take bath in Ganga. They don't see Ganga has become contaminated. That's our devotee. We should not see the past. Drishte svabhava janite vapushascha doshai na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyed gangam bhasam nakhalu buddh buddha phena pankai brahma dravatvam avagacchati nira dharmai. Thank you. So that's how. So birth is not a disqualification. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Shuddha Goswami did not take birth in a Brahmana family, but because of higher association. Kiska association liye? Shukdev Goswami. Because when Shukdev Goswami was speaking, he was there. He was purified. Lord Chaitanya followed this principle. And Lord Chaitanya purposefully, he made such people who were all low caste. He made them acharyas. Who all were made acharyas? By Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Haridas Thakur was made Namacharya. Haridas Dwara Nama Mahatmya Prachar. Sanatana Dwara Bhakti Siddhanta Vilas. Shri Rupa Dwara Brajera Prema Rasa Lila Ki Bujhite Pare Gambhir Chaitanya Rakhela. ऐसे लोगों को सब low caste को बना दिया Guru. So that's the way of Mahaprabhu. He wants to break the social conventions. Anybody who is a devotee, whoever he may be, he is better. And that's how Advaita Acharya, he gave Shraddha Patra to Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is saying, Arey, what are you doing? You are the best of Brahmanas, you are the leader. Do you know what are you doing? Acharya says, I know. Don't worry, I will never do anything which is against the regulative principles. By feeding you, I am feeding thousands of Brahmanas. So that is how a devotee is. Prabhupada writes, he continues. He clearly stated that any man, whatever he may be, whether a Brahmana or Shudra by birth, if he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he is a Guru. Wahi verse hai, Kiba Vipar Kibanyasi. Suta Goswami learned the science of Krishna from great rishis like Vyasadev, Shukdev Goswami, and he was so qualified that even sages of Naimisharanya eagerly wanted to hear from him. So this is a classic example. He is not even a Brahmana, and all the Brahmanas are hearing from him. So he had double association of great souls by hearing and preaching. So that is very powerful line here Prabhupada is writing. Double association. So Sudha Goswami is taking association of these Brahmanas. He is not speaking, Chalo bhai sabka uddhar karta aa jao, I am speaking Bhagavatam. No. He is speaking, he is just first presenting his humility. Main to qualified hi nahi hu. I am just, I have received mercy of the Lord and devotees. That's why I am able to do something. So that is how our devotee is. And then after a few lines, Prabhupada writes that in current times, Hindu system, Hindu society has become so rigid. And Lord Chaitanya revived the original Vedic system. He elevated Haridas Thakur to position of Namacharya. Such is the power of pure devotees. Gangara parasho huile paschate pavan. What is the next line? Darshane pavitra karoi tomar gun. So Mahattamanam Abhidhan Yogaha. Last few lines Prabhupada writes. What is the meaning of Mahattamanam Abhidhan? Mahattamanam Abhidhan means dictionary of great devotees, or a book full of the words of great devotees. Such a dictionary of the words of great devotees and those of the Lord are in the Vedas and allied scriptures like Bhagavatam. So Mahattamanam Abhidhan Yoga. So just by conversing with great souls, one gets purified. So low birth gets purified by association of devotees and practice of bhakti. As Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu describes, what is the first quality of the secondary quality of a devotional service? 6 qualities he describes, na? Rupa Goswami in the first chapter. Primary characteristics जो 6 आते हैं, उसमें सबसे पहला क्या है? Anybody remembers? Klesha Agni. Kleshagni. In that he quotes a verse from Padma Puran. Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham krameneva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. All these things are destroyed by bhakti, Vishnu bhakti. Aprarabdha, that means that which has not come. Then the kutam, the desire to do sinful activity, the seed of sinful activity, bijam, everything gets purified. Kramena eva praliyate. So therefore he says, just by speaking with great souls, one gets purified. So if that is the effect of just speaking with the great souls, what more can be said for the person who chants the name of the Lord? So the sages, they may say that, but how can bad birth be destroyed without destroying the prarabdha karma? That is a question which sages they may raise. You are saying one gets purified. So he is saying, Sutta Goswami is saying, I have become purified. Doshkulyam adhi vidhunoti. So sages may raise a question, Are? How can the bad birth be purified? Ye to pichle janam ke papon se aaya. And it is well known that prarabdha is destroyed only by experiencing. How can chanting destroy the prarabdha karma? So he speaks the next verse. Kuta punargrinato nama tasya mahattamaikanта parayanasya yonanta shaktir bhagavan ananto mahat gunatvat yamanantamahu.
And what to speak of those who are under the direction of the great devotees, chanting the holy name of the unlimited, who has unlimited potency, the personality of Godhead, unlimited in potency and transcendental by attributes, is called the Ananta, the unlimited.
So the Lord is so powerful, he is Ananta Shakti. What is difficult for the Lord? Can't he not purified? Can he not purify a person who is sinful, he can purify entire universe. You know, somebody came and told Prabhupada, Swamiji, we heard that Lord Ram ate meat when he was in forest. Prabhupada said, Lord Ram can eat entire universe, including you and me, and nothing will happen to him. You know, but if we imitate, we will get, you know, sinful. We will become sinful. So Lord can do anything. Teji asam na doshaye. Please don't find faults with great people. They will do anything and they will get away with that. They will not get affected. But if we try to imitate them, we will die. Lord Shiva drank poison. Poison ka fragrance se bhi hum log will get, you know, unconscious. So what we should do? We should follow the instructions. We should never ever imitate the actions. So therefore he says that what is difficult for the Lord is Ananta Shakti. He can purify anyone. So Prabhupada writes the same thing in the purport also. That there are some people who say, Arey, how are you initiating all these Malichas and Yavanas as Brahmanas and Sannyasis? So anybody who takes shelter of the Lord, he gets purified. Bhagavatam asserts that one who chants the holy name of the Lord at once get freed from the disadvantages due to caste, lower caste birth. Same. Ahobat Shapachota Varian Prabhupada is paraphrasing here. To chant the holy names under the direction of a pure devotee is offenseless chanting. And this offenseless chanting indicates that one has fully understood the transcendental nature of the name and thus surrendered unto the Lord. Okay, so we'll go to the next verse. Etavatalam nanusuchitena Gunair asamyan shayanasya hitve prarthayato vibhuti yasyangre renum jushate anabhipsaha bhipshoho.
It is now ascertained that he, the personality of Godhead, is unlimited and there is none equal to him. Consequently, no one can speak of him adequately. Great demigods cannot obtain the favor of goddesses of fortune even by prayers, but this very goddesses renders service unto the Lord, although he is unwilling to have such service.
Asamya atishayanasya. There is nobody who is equal to him and nobody who is greater than him. Asamya, he is immeasurable. His glories are unlimited. And Hitve taran prarthayato vibhuti. Although everybody is serving Lakshmi Devi to get her favor, but Lakshmi Devi is serving him, although he is not interested in service of Lakshmi. When 4 Kumaras, they enter the Vaikuntha and Jai Vijay, they had a clash with them. And then Lord Vishnu comes out and he tells one thing. Look, I beg forgiveness from all of you because my devotees, they have offended you. I beg forgiveness. And because I take dust of the Brahmana's lotus feet on my head, that's why I have become powerful enough to purify everyone. And although I have nothing to do with Lakshmi, still she is not giving me up. Because dust maine sar pe rakha hai. Yat sevaya charan padma pavitra renu sadya shatakil malam pradilabda shilam na shri viraktim apimam vijahati yasya preksha lavartha itare niyaman vahanti. I have nothing to do with Lakshmi. I don't desire Lakshmi, but still she is not leaving me because I am taking dust of devotees' feet on my head. So the same thing is described here also by the sages, by Sut Goswami. That Supreme Lord, although he is unwilling to have service of Lakshmi, but still she is not giving him up. That is how Lord is so very great. So therefore, who will not take the names of such Lord, who is so powerful that he purifies even, Lord Shiva? That's what he's saying in the next verse. Athapi yatpadanakhavrisrishtam
Athapi yatpadanakavristam
Jagad virincho paritarhanambhaha
Jagat viricho
Shesham punatyanyatamo mukunda
Shesham punatyanyatamo mukunda
Namaloke bhagavat padarthaha.
Namaloke bhagavat padarthaha.
Who can be worthy of the name of the Supreme Lord but the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna? Brahmaji collected the water emanating from the nails of his feet in order to award it to Lord Shiva as a worshipful welcome. This very water, the Ganges, is purifying the whole universe, including Lord Shiva.
So that's how Sud Goswami first glorified the devotees of the Lord. Then now he is glorifying the Supreme Lord. That Supreme Lord is so very powerful, so very wonderful that it is nothing for him to purify a person like me. He purifies even Lord Shiva. The water which washes the feet of Lord purifies Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva becomes more auspicious. Shiva Shivo Bhut. So that is how Lord is so very great. So Prabhupada writes, Lord Brahma is generally one of the living entities, and Lord Shiva is a via medium between the Lord and living entities. In other words, even demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, who are chief among the devatas, are never equal to the Lord. Last, and then after a few lines, Prabhupada writes, Goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, Brahma, Shiva are not independently powerful. They are powerful as expansions of the Supreme Lord. And they are all great devotees. So therefore, they have all appeared and they have all started a parampara. Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, and then Kumar Sampradaya is also there. Okay, then next verse, translation. Somebody can read.
Self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential.
So those who are attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, for them it is so very easy to give up the things of the world. It is consequential. They don't have to separately endeavor for renunciation. Non-violence and renunciation are consequential. It is like on the way they also get that also. Any verse which tells this? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Vairagyam and Jnanam. So Jnana and Vairagya are consequential. They come on their own. Devotee doesn't endeavor for it. They are just endeavoring for attachment to the lotus feet of the Lord. So all the qualities, all the wonderful glorious qualities which people of the world, they want to acquire, devotees, they acquire, automatically. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvaya gunais tatra samasate sura. We have to be just careful of being attached to Krishna. We have to just think about that. That's the only thing we should think about. And all the other things will come consequentially. Many times devotee, we get concerned, my anarthas are not going. Still I am attached to sense gratification. All this lust, anger, greed, envy is not going. But, in our prayers, many times our prayers are full of Bhagwan, ye anarth kam karo. Itna lust hai, itna anger hai. And then in the end, we also ask thoda chanting ke liye thoda taste dijiye. But many times we pray for what? Please make me free of my anarthas. I am really troubled by these anarthas. But rather than that, the better type of prayer is the 80% of our prayer should be asking for taste. And then in the end, we should also ask, ye anartha hai, wo bhi thode dur karo. That will happen by consequentially. If we get taste for Krishna Katha, then automatically anarthas will go for sure. But many times we are so much overwhelmed, because anarthas are so much. We are overwhelmed. And we forget that Krishna is all powerful. And we think Krishna is all powerful, but I have my plans to get purified. I know better than Krishna how to purify myself. I have made my plans, you just execute it. You are all powerful, na? Mera plan execute karo. We have to just depend on Krishna's plan also. Okay, so Prabhupada writes, only the self-controlled can gradually be attached to Krishna. Self-controlled means not indulging in sense gratification more than necessary. Dry's philosophical speculation is a subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. Those who are self-controlled can make progress on the path of liberation. So the interesting question is, only a self-controlled can be attached. And to be attached to, we need to be self-controlled. तभी होगा ना, तो पहले क्या करना है? Unless we are attached to Krishna, how can we be self-controlled properly? And to be self-controlled, only a self-controlled can be gradually attached to Krishna. So what comes first? Attachment to Krishna or self-control? Attachment to Krishna comes first. And with whatever self-control we have, begin with that. And try getting attached to Krishna, and then Krishna will show mercy. So that's how it works.
That is the second sentence. Self-control means not indulging in sense enjoyment.
More than is necessary. Yes. So minimum level of sense enjoyment is required, right? We cannot live without sense gratification. Sense gratification means what? Anything we put in our senses, that is sense gratification. So minimum level of sense gratification is required. We have to eat something, see something, hear something. So we are not against sense gratification, but overindulgence in sense gratification is not recommended. Atyahar is not recommended. Ahar is required, right? Khana to padega. Whatever we put in our senses is ahar for the senses, right? Whatever we see is a ahar for the eyes. Whatever we hear, ahar for the ears. Whatever we eat, ahar for our tongue. So we have to do it, but overindulgence is not, recommended. So self-control means that's the difference between, sense satisfaction. So the better word is sense satisfaction. We have to satisfy our senses. And many times we think sense gratification means indulgence in sense objects. But sense gratification is not always bad. Overindulgence is bad because we cannot live without sense gratification. It is like a salt. Na example dete hain na, salt. Kam bhi rahega to bhi problem, zyada rahega to bhi problem. So it is not bad. We are not against sense gratification. We are against indulgence. Atyahar nahi hona chahiye. So that's how self-control means non-indulging more than necessary. Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by factually becoming attached to Supreme Lord. So we are not people who are saying no to sense objects. We have to say yes to Krishna first. And then automatically Vairagya and Virakti will come. We should not be thinking so much about ye nahi karna, ye nahi, अरे क्या करना है उसके बारे में सोचिए. We have to think about that more. So that is what is recommended. And that is what param drishtva nivartate. Unless we develop a higher taste, we cannot give up the lower taste. Senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. And that is the process of bhakti yoga. And that is sadhana bhakti, engaging the senses in devotional service. That is what Amrish Maharaj was doing, engaging all the senses in serving the Lord. And then after some lines, Prabhupada writes, real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious, but a perfect Paramhamsa is non-envious. Nirmatsaranam satam. So real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. And after a few lines, Prabhupada writes, renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the conditions of the material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Actually, nothing belongs to us. We cannot renounce anything because what is ours? Just like the famous joke, So there was a clash between God and the scientists. Scientists said, we'll also make our own, create our own life. God said, okay, try. So they started taking the ingredients, so God said, wait, create your own dirt first. Own raw material, ye mera hai sab. So everything belongs to Krishna, nothing belongs to us. So where is the question of renouncing? We have to just renounce this possessive mentality. We think that ye mera hai. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. Okay, so after expressing his humility, after praying to the Lord, after glorifying the Lord, now in the 23rd verse, he says, I shall try to describe the pastimes of Vishnu. Just like the birds fly as per their capacity, I will also speak as per my realization. Aham hi prishto aryamano bhavadbhir
Aham hi prishto aryamano bhavatbhir
achaksh atma vagamo atra yavan
achaksha atma vakamotra yavan
nabha patantyatma samam patatrinas
nava atma samam patantrinas
tatha samam vishnu gatim vipaschitah.
tata samam vishnu gatim vipaschita.
O Rishis, who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky, as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows.
So he's glorifying the sages also here. He's saying, O Rishis, you are as powerfully pure as sun. He is not thinking, I will purify all of you. बैठो सबको purify करूंगा अभी सुनाता हूं. No, he knows that they are all pure already. Aryamano bhavadbhir, all of you are powerfully pure as sun. And achaksha, and because you have asked me, I will try to describe Atma avagamo atra yavan. Atma avagama, the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu, as my knowledge goes, as far as my knowledge is concerned. And then he gives an example. Just like the birds, they fly in the sky as per their capacity. Similarly, I will also describe as far as my realization. Vipaschitaha. So Prabhupada writes, Supreme Lord is unlimited. No living being can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. Only Lord gives empowerment. As Prabhupada would tell many times, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. Only if Krishna inspires, then only somebody can describe his glories. Otherwise, nobody can speak about Krishna. Unless one is empowered by devotees, unless someone is empowered by the Lord, nobody can speak about the Lord. Just like Kaviraj Goswami also speaks the same thing. That I am just describing a drop of the oceanic pastimes of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not just drop, a particle of the drop of the wave of the ocean. So that is how he says, So he says, I forgot the verse. Anyways. So therefore, only by the mercy of the Lord and the devotees, one can describe the Lord himself. Because the Lord is unlimited. Even Lord himself cannot describe his own glories. He also gets confused. The famous pastime, Lord is seeing himself in the jeweled pillar and he's thinking, who is this personality? Rupa dekhi apnar Krishnero hoila chamatkar. He is also thinking, kaun hai ye? Pastimes of the Lord and different features can only be estimated partly by great devotees. Factually, Only the Lord himself can describe himself. So one devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you are always saying we cannot understand Krishna. Then why you are writing? One outsider asked, Swamiji, you are saying nobody can understand Krishna. Then why you are writing so many books? Prabhupada said, so that you can understand that you cannot understand Krishna. That's why I am writing. पढ़ के समझेगा कि आप नहीं समझ सकते. Only Krishna. Only by mercy of the Lord one can understand a little bit. Avthapite deva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanughrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanya eko pichiram vichinvan. Only a person who has received the mercy, he can understand. Otherwise, nobody can. So after describing this, expressing his humility, then he starts the narration. What happened? Ekada dhanurudyamya vicharan mrigayam vane Prigan anugata shranta Shudita trishito bhisham Jalashayam achakshana Pravivesha tamashramam Dadarsha munimasinam Shantam militalocanam.
Once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with a bow and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty while following the stags. While searching for a reservoir of water, he entered the hermitage of the well-known Samik Rishi, and the sage sitting silently with closed eyes.
So now he begins the narration of how once Parikshit was hunting and then he enters the sage who was in ashram of the sage who was in meditation. So Prabhupada clarifies the situation in the beginning only. He doesn't wait for the pastime to unfold. And that's how Prabhupada does always. Because he knows Kali Yuga people can't wait. आगे पढ़ेंगे कि नहीं मालूम नहीं पहले ही बंद कर देंगे so I will tell everything in so that's how he does always before beginning in the beginning of any pastime he describes everything suspense पूरा खत्म हो जाता है पहले ही because he knows Kali Yuga people are so restless they can't wait for the entire pastime to get over and they can't learn lessons on their own so I'll tell everything in the beginning only. So Prabhupada clarifies here that Parikshit Maharaj is being used by the Lord to teach all of us. So Lord is putting Parikshit Maharaj in this situation. Otherwise, Parikshit Maharaj is a person who protects Brahmanas. How can he insult Brahman? It is never possible. It is just like when a mother-in-law wants to teach daughter-in-law, she chastises whom? Daughter, because she trusts her. Ye to nahi aayi hai. She doesn't know the culture of family. So therefore, Lord trusts his pure devotees only. He loves everyone. He trusts few. He trusts only his pure devotee and he uses them to teach everyone. So that's how Prabhupada writes there. Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for a devotee. Abhi isme auspicious kya hai? So Prabhupada is writing auspicious circumstance. So Parikshit Maharaj is put in this situation. It is auspicious circumstance Prabhupada is writing. Because it is auspicious for the whole world. Whole world is about to get benefited by this pastime. He was a pure devotee and there was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, hungry and thirsty because a devotee of the Lord never becomes perturbed. Just after few days, just after one day, when he is cursed, he makes a decision, I'll not eat, I'll not drink. And then he is not perturbed. Even at the 10th canto, in the beginning of 10th canto, he says, don't worry. Oh, Sukdev Goswami, bolte raho, don't think I am hungry, thirsty. Naesha ati dussahat shunnvam tyaktodam apibadate pibantam tvanmukham bhoja chutam hari kathamritam. Don't worry. So therefore, whatever is happening here, it is all Leela. It's all pastime. You have to always remember this. But by the desire of the Lord, even such a devotee can be apparently fatigued and thirsty just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. So Prabhupada is, speaking from another angle. That okay, Parikshit Maharaj had to renounce the world. Krishna wanted to bring him closer. So that's why he created this situation that was auspicious. Yes, that is also there. And because of this situation, Bhagavatam was spoken. That's how it is all auspicious also. One has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. Thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed, Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. Yasyaham anugrihnami harishye tad dhanam shanai. And that's what Parikshit Maharaj also tells. After he's cursed, he sits on the bank of Ganga and he says, Vyasakta chittasya griheshu abhikshnam. I was too much attached to my family. Nirveda mulo dvijashapa rupo yatra prasakto bhayamashu dhatte. Krishna has mercifully come in the form of this curse of a Brahmana. So that is the mood of a devotee always. So Lord creates awkward situation for a devotee so that he can renounce the world. And then Prabhupada also writes, Maharaj Parikshit was to become the medium for the revelation of Srimad Bhagvatam by Lord Krishna, as his grandfather was medium for Bhagavad Gita. So it is all for the welfare of everyone. Okay, then the sage was sitting with his eyes closed. His situation is described in the next verse. Pratiruddhendriya prana manobuddhim uparatam sthanatrayat param praptam brahma bhutam avikriyam.
Brahmabhutam avikriyam.
The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three wakefulness, dream, and unconsciousness, having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute.
He was actually in Samadhi. So Jagrata, Susupti, and Jagrata, Swapna, Susupti, and Turiya. These are the four stages. Jagrata means awake. Then Swapna means dreaming. Susupti means deep sleep when there is no dreamings also. There are no dreams also. And Turiya means when one is actually after a deep sleep, a person is as good as liberated, because he's not even in his bodily conception of life. He's beyond the bodily conception in deep sleep. So Turiya means even beyond that deep sleep state, completely self-realized state. So the sage was in completely Turiya stage. He was practicing this Bhakti yoga, and he had attained that Samadhi. So Prabhupada writes, last few lines. The perception of matter is transcended to still subtler states of the senses. The senses are transcended to the subtler mind, and then to breathing activities, and gradually to intelligence. So Prabhupada is writing some details of Ashtanga Yoga. Anyways, so we'll continue the next verse. Translation, somebody can read.
The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of his back, and long compressed hair which scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water.
So Prabhupada again writes, this is all providential. How is it possible for a king like Parikshit to be thirsty in such a way that he is really hankering for water? It was just for Bhagavatam to appear in this world. Prabhupada is writing again and again. He was just placed in this situation so that Bhagavatam can come out. Next verse, translation.
The king, not received by any formal welcome by means of being offered a seat, place, water, and sweet address, considered himself neglected, and so thinking he became angry.
So Prabhupada in the purport, he describes about the principles of guest reception. In the previous times, how, even Jarasandha, when Krishna and Bhima and Arjuna, they came dressed as the Brahmanas, he also welcomed them, gave all nice reception. Whole day they would fight and in the night they would be like friends. So it is unimaginable. ऐसा कैसे कर सकते हैं? So Jarasandha would go and talk to them, कैसे ठीक है ना? So that's how the previous culture was. So Parikshit Maharaj, he didn't expect any royal reception, but he was just thinking, "Arey, glass pani to pucho. I am thirsty. Anybody will ask for a water. Anybody will provide a glass of water." So he never expected that, he'll be given a royal reception. Prabhupada writes. Okay, yeah. Next paragraph, Prabhupada writes. Okay, before that he says, reception law enjoins that a poor man who has nothing to offer his guest should be good enough to offer a straw. Arey, chatai to de sakte hain, baitho to sahi. If you have nothing else, chatai to hai. And a glass pani, at least give one glass water and some sweet words. So there is no expense, Prabhupada writes. To receive a guest is no expense. It is only a question of good manners. That is also missing nowadays. So Parikshit Maharaj, he did not expect a royal reception because he knew that sages, they are not materially rich. But he never expected that a seat of straw, a glass of water, and some sweet words would be denied. So he didn't expect that. So therefore he became very angry. And to become angry in such a grave situation was not unnatural for a king, because he was not an ordinary person. He was not just king of this country, he was king of entire Bhumandal. And this was not unnatural to expect such a basic thing. So therefore, king was not able to accept this. He became angry. And it must be accepted that it was ordained by the supreme will of the Lord. Because the king was a great devotee and the saint was also as good as king. So it is all happening by the will of the Lord. So there is no other way to understand this pastime than that it is planned by the Lord. Then Prabhupada says, the merciful Lord sometimes creates such awkward situations for his pure devotees in order to drag them towards himself from the mire of material existence. In the story of Narad Muni, if you remember, 6th chapter, when his mother was bitten by a serpent, Ekada Duhantim Nishigampati, she was going in the dark and to milk the cow and she was bitten by the serpent. Prabhupada writes a very wonderful line. This is a way to drag a sincere soul close to Krishna. So that is how Krishna plans the life of his devotees. And that's how Krishna is dragging Parikshit Maharaj close to him. Okay, so now, next verse. Abhut Purva Sahasa Shutridhyam Arditatmanaha Brahmanam Pratyabhut Brahman Matsaro Manyurevacha.
O Brahmanas, the circumstances having distressed him with extreme hunger and thirst, the king directed towards the sage his anger and envy, which he had never before directed toward a Brahman.
So it was unprecedented, because he is a protector of Brahmanas and the cows. He is in line of Pandavas. And according to Vedic culture, Brahmanas, cows, children, old men and women, they should be protected. Old people and women, they should be protected. How can Parikshit Maharaj be angry and envious? It was unprecedented. It was all, again Prabhupada writes, it was all plan of the Lord. Only justification for Maharaj Parikshit behavior is it was ordained by the Lord. That's it. There is no other justification. Next verse, translation.
While leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with a bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace.
So Parikshit was thinking, oh Brahmana, I am respecting you with this very delicate garland, just as you have nicely welcomed me. So that's what Parikshit, Chakravarti Thakur writes. So you welcomed me nicely, I am also reciprocating. I'll put this delicate garland. And that's how he thought, tit for tat. And then he left. The king thus treated the sage tit for tat. Although he was never accustomed to such silly actions, by the will of the Lord, while going away, king found the snake also. From where the dead snake came, it was all plan of the Lord. He thought that the sage coldly received him, thus might be coldly rewarded by being offered a garland of a dead snake. In the ordinary course of dealings, this was very unnatural. Okay, so that's how Parikshit Maharaj, he was completely bewildered by the Lord. Then, after the king left, what he's doing, that is very important and interesting. He began to introspect, he began to reflect what he did. Eshakem nirbhrita shesha karanomi litekshanaha Vrisha samadbhir aho sweet kimno sya shatra bandhubihi.
On returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with senses concentrated and eyes closed, or whether he had been just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower kshatriya.
So he started thinking, why he didn't welcome me properly? Was he faking? What is just behaving as if he is in samadhi because I am a kshatriya, I am a lower class person, he is a brahmana. So he thought, why I should welcome him? So he was thinking all this. So Prabhupada writes, actually king, he felt repentance. Repentance is a very, very crucial aspect in the life of a devotee. We may fall, we may do mistakes, but if we repent, that repentance pleases Krishna more. Jata shraddho matkathasu nirvinna sarva karmasu ved dukkhatmakan kaman parityagopyanishwaraha. Krishna is telling to Uddhava, oh Uddhava, my devotee, his faith has risen in my pastimes. Jata, janma ho gaya hai shraddha. Mat kathasu, in my pastimes. Nirvinna sarva karmasu, he has given up all sense gratification because he knows dukkhatmakan. If I engage in sense gratification, I will get dukkha. Still he is not able to give up. He has given up, again indulges in that. Parityago api anishwara. But still he does what he does later. Tato bhajet. Still he worships me with faith and determination. All the while, dukkho darkamsha garhayan. Repenting for his sinful actions. So repentance purifies the heart of a devotee. So if we are not repenting, then Krishna will not, purify us. We should always be repentful for our sinful actions, whatever we have done in the past. So Chakravarti Prabhupada writes that Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami do not believe that it was because of his past deeds that he did this sinful activity. No, it was plan of the Lord. Still he was repentant. That's how a devotee is. He is always repentant for his sinful acts. He doesn't justify his mistakes. कि क्या करें, भगवान की इच्छा होगी इसलिए मैंने ऐसा किया है, मैं तो शुद्ध भक्त हूं. No, Parikshit Maharaj didn't say like that. He always is thinking that maybe he was in meditation or he was just acting or what was happening. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the plan was made by the will of the Lord. And by the will of the Lord, the situation of frustration was created. The plan was that for his so-called misdeed, the king would be cursed by an inexperienced Brahmana, and thus king would leave his hearth and home for good. His connections with Shukdev Goswami would enable the presentation of the great Srimad Bhagvatam. Prabhupada writes everything. Entire Bhagavatam he has summarized here. आगे क्या होने वाला है सब एक पैराग्राफ में सब लिख दिए. So the pure devotees, after a few lines Prabhupada writes, the pure devotee's mundane frustration is meant to elevate the devotee to a higher transcendental position. So when a pure devotee gets frustrated, he gets elevated and he elevates the entire world by showing what is the ideal response in frustration. So our frustration may bring us down and others down also along with us. You know, if somebody comes in association with us when we are frustrated, they feel like, "Kyun gaya uske paas? Already mera." But when a pure devotee gets frustrated, seeing his response, many people get benefited. So that is what is happening here. And that's what happened. And then Prabhupada writes, that's how Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, they are outcome of frustrations of a devotee. Arjuna was frustrated, out came Bhagavad Gita. And Parikshit Maharaj was frustrated, outcome is Bhagavatam. So that is the frustration of a pure devotee. Bhagavad Gita aa raha hai, Bhagavatam aa raha hai. So that is the difference between a sadhaka and a pure devotee. Prabhupada writes, then he quotes this Ashwatthama pastime. Being distressed by hunger and thirst was only a show, because the king endured much even in the womb of his mother. Actually, that's why he was called as Veera. Matur Garbha Gato Veera. You know that this verse comes. He is called as Veera because he tolerated all the heat of Brahmastra in the Matu Garbha. So what is big thing for him to tolerate ordinary thirst? Brahmastra ka sahan kar liya heat. So this is nothing. It was all plan of the Lord. So Prabhupada is giving again one after another so many evidences. It was not his sinful activity. It was not anything else but the plan of the Lord. Then what happened after this? So Parikshit Maharaj left. So 32nd to 50th verse, the description of the curse of Shringi is described, and how Shamik Rishi, then he regrets, and then he prays to the Lord for his own son. That's what will come. Tasya putro ati tejasvi viharan balakorvakaihi ragyagnam prapitam tatam Shrutva tatredam abravit.
The sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmana's son. While he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. Then and there, the boy spoke as follows.
So he was a Ati Tejasvi, and Prabhupada writes that is the power of the Parikshit Maharaj's good government. Even a boy of tender age is as powerful as a Brahmana, qualified Brahmana. But because Kali Yuga, it had started spreading its influence. So therefore, first Kali Yuga affected the Brahminical class. And this inexperienced boy gave a chance for the age of Kali to enter in the field of Vedic culture. So that's how it started. Hatred of the lower orders of life began from this Brahmana boy. So he is the beginning person, first person who started the influence of Kali Yuga, Shringi. And the first victim of Brahminical injustice was Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, so Shringi, he speaks such harsh and nasty words. Aho adharma palanam pivnam bali bhujamiva swamyagham yad dasanam dwarapanam shunamiva
Svarapanam Sunamigo. The Brahmana's son Singhi said, "Oh, just look at the sin of the rulers who like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sin against their masters, contrary to the principle governing servants." Hare Krishna.
So he is speaking, he is like a dog and he is like a crow. Just like a crow takes away the share of a sacrifice, this king, he is like a crow trying to take away the share of my father's pious activity, and he is thinking I'll get something from my father's place. So he's like a crow and he's like a watchdog. Dog is supposed to be at the gate. How dare he entered the ashram? So that's how he is really criticizing and speaking all bad words. So then Prabhupada writes, when the brain gets affected, entire body becomes dysfunctional. So therefore, when the Brahminical culture, Brahminical order got affected, entire society was in chaos. Prabhupada writes, this caste system is quite scientific. And then he gives the example of a medical practitioner. If he gets a son, he has all the facility to become a good medical doctor. But if he doesn't take the advantage of father's qualification and doesn't become a medical practitioner, then what can be done? Without being qualified, one cannot become a Brahmana or medical practitioner. That is the verdict of all scriptures. Herein, Shringi, a qualified son of a great Brahmana, attained the acquired Brahminical power both by birth and by training. But he was lacking in culture because he was an inexperienced boy. By the influence of Kali, the son of Brahmana became puffed up with Brahminical power and thus wrongly compared Maharaj Parikshit to crow and watchdogs. Next verse. Brahmanai Shatra Bandhurahi
Brahmane Satrabandhu
Grihapalo Nirupitaha Sakatham Tadgrihe Dvastha
Sakatham
Sabhandam Bhoktumarhati.
Chavandam Bhakti Mohati.
The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master unseen?
Strongly 5 saal ka bhi nahi hai, 5 years old boy speaking such harshly. He's like a watchdog. What right he has to enter? So Prabhupada writes that why is Shringi speaking all this? So he says, inexperienced Brahmana boy certainly knew that king asked for water from his father and father did not respond. He tried to explain away his father's inhospitality in an impertinent manner. So he is justifying that, my father, why he has to get up and why he has to welcome king? He is like a watchdog. Bhari rehna chahiye tha. So he is justifying the wrong act. So he was not at all sorry for the king's not being well received. On the contrary, he justifies the wrong act in a way characteristic of the Brahmanas of Kali Yuga. Okay. This mentality of false prestige is the cause of fall down of perfect social order. Prabhupada gives the example that he is saying that dog is certainly reared by its master, but that does not mean that the dog shall claim to dine and drink from the same pot. The dog also eats in the same plate also. So again, dog gets more privilege than any other member of the family many times. Okay, next. So then Shringi is philosophizing whatever he's saying. Krishna has disappeared. That's why these Kshatriyas have become such arrogant. He's saying, Krishne gate bhagavati
Krishne gati
Shastra utpata gaminam Tad bhinna setu nadyaham Shasmi Pashyatame Balam.
Shasmi Pasyatam Nivalam. After the departure of Lord Krishna, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these afterthoughts have flourished. Our protector being gone, therefore I myself shall take up this matter and punish them just to test my power. Hare Krishna.
I will justify the situation, rectify. ये कृष्ण चले गए तो क्या हुआ? हम भी ब्राह्मण हैं. I will rectify. That's how he is, so very arrogant. So Parikshit Maharaj gave 4 places to Kali Yuga, and Kali could not find a single opportunity to spread its influence. But here, and he was regularly seeking an opportunity how to spread the influence. And by the grace of the Lord, he found a hole. In the entire kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj, he found a single hole in this puffed up Brahmana boy. So, and that's how he entered the kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj. Prabhupada writes, inexperienced Brahmana, puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. The personality of Kali Yuga, therefore, was seeking the opportunity to establish the authority. So the same thing. So we have to be really careful, even in a devotee community. We can become proud of our position and our seniority, and because that's what happens. The more we spend time in Krishna consciousness, we become senior. बस यहाँ रहने से senior बोल देते हैं ना, इतने सालों से senior हो गए हैं. So Brahmanas, they should be very careful, and the senior order of a society should be very careful, because if somebody is proud of his seniority based on the number of years spent, then it is a very nice place to enter Kali. And then one starts criticizing and comparing and trying to prove his supremacy. That's what he's doing here. हम लोग ब्राह्मण हैं, and he is thinking himself to be a great personality. He's a Kshatriya. That is the breeding place of Kali Yuga. So Prabhupada writes, little Brahmana wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king like Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Krishna after his departure. These are principal signs of upstarts who want to take place of Sri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. And that's so many false incarnations also coming up. So thinking like this, he was ready to punish and curse Parikshit Maharaj. Next was translation.
The son of the Rishi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. Next verse, translation.
But Brahmana's son cursed the king, thus on the 7th day from the today a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of that dynasty, Maharaja Parikshit, because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father.
So that's how he cursed. So he said, because he placed a dead snake on the body of my father, Takshaka, a living snake, will bite him. That's how he cursed Parikshit Maharaj. On the 7th day, a snake bird will bite. That is the misuse of a Brahminical power. So the word used is Dankshati Sma Kulangaram. So he's saying he is wretched of dynasty. So Shringi is saying he is so wretched person in his entire dynasty. Actually, he is the wretched one. He is, destroying the entire Brahminical culture. So person who is himself wretched, he thinks that everybody is, wretched, not him. That was the case of Daksha also. When he was criticizing Shiva, he was presenting his case such wonderfully. He begins that I am speaking for the welfare of entire community, I am thinking if he is not getting up and respecting me, People will follow him and entire society will be destroyed. Who is this personality? He is a monkey-eyed person. He covers himself with all the ashes. I am not speaking out of envy. Which may be bolte. So that's how he's also thinking like this, Shringi. That
He is 5 years old that time.
Small boy likha hai na? Age is not mentioned, right?
Playing with this.
So it must be a small child.
I don't know whether further it will come.
No, it doesn't come.
Not that. For the because Parikshit Maharaj is the pure devotee of the Lord, Vaishnava, and this boy is a Brahman. No Brahmana.
Yeah.
So his curse and the words are very, very unpalatable, very strong words. So one is Vaishnava Aparad, who is actually blaspheming. And do they affect, in spite of that, his maturity for a Vaishnava? Because
does the child get affected?
No. One is two questions. One is what happens to the child because he is blaspheming, and whether a Brahmana with that sort of mentality is cursing, would that have a power to affect the?
Oh, that okay. So one thing is because Shamik Rishi, he prayed to the Lord that please protect my child out of his foolishness. He has done so. And Prabhupada and Chakravarti Thakur writes that he was not, this Shringi was not, punished because that was a plan of the Lord. Krishna personally, orchestrated this small boy to speak all this so that Bhagavatam may come out. So he was not punished for because he was a child and it was plan of the Lord. And second thing, Parikshit was powerful enough to counteract the curse. But still he did not do so because he thought, he took it as a mercy of the Lord. So otherwise he was powerful enough to counteract the curse of a Brahmana. But still, if some Brahmana curses, even Lord, considers that, okay, that's the case of Jai Vijay being cursed by 4 Kumaras. So Lord could have, counteracted that curse. But he said, no, because I have given this authority to Brahmanas. If I myself, destroy the power of their curse, then who will believe in Brahmanical culture? So therefore, Lord also doesn't do so. So the devotees of the Lord, they also accept it, although they are powerful enough. To tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta shipta hata api nasyatat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. This is the last line is important. Tad bhakta prabhavopihi. He is powerful enough to counteract, but still he doesn't do it. Because he always thinks that I am a Kshatriya, they are Brahmana, they are higher than me. He's not thinking, I am higher than a Brahmana. He is thinking, I am a Kshatriya and he is a Brahmana. So whatever Lord plans for me, I'll accept it. So that is how he takes it. And that's how in the future it will come that he doesn't go and ask forgiveness from Shamik Rishi also. Because the message was conveyed in such a regretful way, So Shamik Rishi sends his disciple Gaurmukha to convey the information to Parikshit that you will be dying in 7 days. Please make preparations. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he hears this, he could have gone back and at least asked forgiveness from Shamik Rishi, right? But he doesn't do so because he thinks already he's so very embarrassed, and if I go, he'll be more embarrassed. So for Parikshit, embarrassment of Shamik was more of concern than his own death. Main mar raha hu chalega, but he should not be embarrassed more. So that was Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, next verse. Translation. 38th.
Thereafter, when the boy returned to the hermitage, he saw a snake on his father's shoulder, and out of his grief he cried very loudly.
So Prabhupada writes, boy was not happy because he committed a great mistake. Therefore, he started crying just to get relieved of the burden. He also understood galti ki I should not have cursed him. So just to relieve himself, he started crying. Next verse.
O Brahmanas, the rishi who was born in the family of Angira Muni, hearing his son crying, gradually opened his eyes and saw the dead snake around his neck.
Next.
He threw the dead snake aside and asked his son why he was crying, whether anyone had done him harm. On hearing this, the son explained to him what had happened.
So Shami Krishna didn't take it seriously at all. Just threw it away. And then he asked, "Kya ho gaya? Kyun ro raha hai?" So then he told the whole story. So, brothers, actually there was nothing seriously wrong in Parikshit Maharaj's act, but foolish son took it very seriously. Next verse, translation.
The father heard from his son that the king had been cursed, although he should never have been condemned, for he was the best amongst all human beings. The rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary, began to repent, saying, "Alas, what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He has avoided heavy punishment for an insignificant offense."
Yes. So Shami Rishi, he knew that this is such an insignificant thing, and my son has really punished Parikshit Maharaj beyond proportion. Because he knew that Parikshit Maharaj is not an ordinary king. He is Bhagavatottamam. He is not just a king. He is not just a Rajarishi. He is a great devotee. He is a pure devotee of the Lord. And you have punished that great devotee of the Lord. So he is not just a best of the human beings. He is best of the devotees. So Prabhupada writes, he is never condemned for any of the actions. In other words, the king can do no wrong. The king may order hanging of a culprit son of a Brahmana, but he does not become sinful for killing a Brahmana. Even if there is something wrong with the king, he is never to be condemned. And then Prabhupada gives an example. Medical practitioner may kill a patient by mistaken treatment, but such a killer is never condemned to death. So what to speak of a good and pious king like Maharaj Parikshit? In the Vedic way of life, the king is trained to become a Rajarishi. It is the king only by whose good government the citizens can live peacefully and without any fear. So therefore, his father started lamenting that you have done a great offense. He is such a great devotee. He was maintaining the principles of dharma. Because of him, the entire citizens were peaceful, without any anxiety, without any influence of Kali Yuga we were living. And now you have punished him. Next verse, translation.
O my boy, your intelligence is immature, and therefore you have no knowledge that the king, who is the best among human beings, is as good as the personality of Godhead. He is never to be placed on an equal footing with common men. The citizens of the state live in prosperity, being protected by his unsurpassable powers.
Next.
My dear boy, the Lord who carries the wheel of a chariot is represented by the regime. And when his regime is abolished, the whole world becomes filled with thieves, who then at once vanquish unprotected subjects like scattered lambs.
So whenever there is a powerful king, the rogues and thieves don't grow. So it comes in the 4th canto when, in the Vena's case also, and when Daksha, he performed this yagya, and then Sati burnt herself. Then Lord Shiva created this Veerbhadra, and then he's coming with all the army of Lord Shiva's companions. So Daksha and Prasuti and everybody seeing the black, storm raising. So all the people, they start speculating, what is it? So they say, Prasuti says one thing, that Prachin Barhi is still there, so it is not possible that the rogues and thieves can spread their influence. So it cannot be the rogues and thieves. So whenever a great king is there is no possibility that rogues and thieves can spread their influence. And the Vena case, as it is, Prabhuji said, that is also, the case. So therefore he's saying, you have unnecessarily punished him. because he was maintaining this entire society. And Lord is represented by the king. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of all the men, I am the king. What is it? 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. So he's that. So Lord represents the monarchical regime. Okay. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the king is said to be the representative of the Lord because he is trained to acquire the qualities of God to protect living beings. That is the meaning of Kshatriya. Shatatrayate iti Kshatriya. Last few lines Prabhupada writes. One trained monarch is better than hundreds of useless ministerial robes. And it is hinted herein that by abolition of a monarchical regime, like that of Maharaj Parikshit, mass of people have become open to many attacks of age of Kali. Okay, he continues. Next verse, translation.
Due to the termination of the monarchical regimes and the plundering of the people's wealth by rogues and thieves, there will be great social disturbance. People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. And for all these things, we shall be responsible.
So as a very responsible Brahmana, he is taking all the responsibility on himself. He is not telling, "Arey, iska galti hai." He is saying, no, it is our responsibility. Any person in a society does a mistake, it is a role of that order of the society to take the responsibility. So he is taking responsibility that we will be responsible. We Brahmanas will be responsible for all the chaos which will happen in the future. That is actual a leader. So Brahmanas, they lead by their ideal character. So leader takes the response. Just like when Jai Vijay did mistake, Lord Vishnu took responsibility. He said, I am ready to lop off my own arm. So a leader takes the responsibility for whatever mistake which is done by his subordinates. Next verse, translation.
At that time, the people in general will fall systematically from the path of progressive civilization with respect to the qualitative engagement of the attached and the orders of society and the Vedic injunctions. Thus, they will be more attracted to economic development for sense gratification. And as a result, there will be an unwanted population on the level of dogs and monkeys.
Okay, so when the kings are destroyed, then the Varnashram system will be destroyed and people will just indulge in sense gratification, increasing the prosperity, and they live at the level of dogs. That is a degraded civilization, only interested in sense gratification. Prabhupada writes, a degraded civilization of sense gratification and economy. Last few lines of the purport. A degraded civilization of sense gratification and economic development is the byproduct of a godless or a kingless government of the people, by the people, for the people. Prabhupada is very much against democracy. He would always say, demon crazy. It is all democracy. So whatever is happening is all godless civilization. And then he speaks two beautiful verses about Parikshit Maharaj. Dharma, 46 verse, yes. Dharma palo narpatihi sasu samrat brihashravaha sakshan mahabhagavato rajarshi hayamedhayat shutrit shamo yuto dino neva smashapamarhati.
The Emperor Parikshit is a pious king. He is highly celebrated and is a first-class devotee of the personality of Godhead. He is a saint amongst royalty, and he was performed many harsh sacrifice. When such a king is tired and fatigued, being stricken with hunger and thirst, It doesn't at all deserve to be cursed. Hare Krishna.
So that's how these are the so many wonderful qualifications he is recounting. So Parikshit Maharaj was not an ordinary king. Everybody knew about him. Dharmapalo, Narapati, Samrat, Brihashrava, Mahabhagavata, Hayamedhayat. So many qualities he had. And for some small mistake, you have cursed him. He didn't deserve this punishment. So therefore, Shamik Rishi is admitting that whatever is done, it was unjust. He took the responsibility. Next verse, translation.
Then the Rishi prayed to the all-pervading personality of Godhead to pardon his immature boy, who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin of cursing a person who was completely free from all sins, who was subordinate and who deserved to be protected.
So after, chastising his own boy, he found no other way of atonement, because the seriousness of the sin was so much, so great, that he just resorted to praying to the Supreme Lord. He found no way to atone for this sin. So therefore, he started praying to the Supreme Lord just to pardon his small boy. So Prabhupada writes, everyone is responsible for his own actions. Shamik Rishi could foresee that his son has committed a great sin and he deserved. When an offense is done unto a devotee of the Lord, it is very difficult to overcome the reaction. So that is how this is Vaishnava aparad. It is not just pap, it is aparad. So pap is dhulilep. You write something on the sand, it gets erased very easily. But aparad is vajralep. So it doesn't get destroyed so easily. So therefore, he found no other way to counteract this. He resorted to praying. Foolish boy had done it out of sheer vanity in being Brahmana's son, and thus he became liable to be punished by the law of God. Lord never forgives a person who condemns his pure devotee. And then Prabhupada clarifies in the next paragraph. A question may be raised herein that since it was the desire of the Lord that Maharaj Parikshit be put into that awkward position so that he might be delivered, then why was a Brahmana's son made responsible for this offensive act? Isko deliver karna tha, jisko kyun phasaya? That's a basic question. The answer is that the offensive act was performed by a child only, so that he could be excused very easily. And thus the prayer of the father was accepted. But if the question is raised, why the Brahmana community as a whole was made responsible for allowing Kali into the world affairs? Answer is given in Varaha Puran. Demons who acted inimically towards the Lord but were not killed by the Lord were allowed to take birth in the family of Brahmanas to take advantage of the age of Kali. The all-merciful Lord gave them chance to have their birth in the pious families so that they could progress towards salvation. So that's how Lord is so very merciful. So he is giving again and again chance. But the demons, instead of utilizing the good opportunity, misused the Brahminical culture due to being puffed up. And typical example is Shamik Rishi's son. Okay, then next verse, very, very important, very beautiful verse. What was the attitude of Parikshit Maharaj? Teraskrita vipralabdha shapta shipta hatapi nasya tat pratikurvanti tadbhakta prabhavopihi.
The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves.
although they are powerful enough to do so. Tad bhakta prabhavopihi. So that is the important thing. So they have the ability to retaliate, but still they don't do it. So if somebody doesn't have the ability and says, "Chalo jana to chhod diya," you know, it is like वो हाथी चींटी वाला स्टोरी बोलते हैं ना, दो चींटियां जा रही हैं और एक हाथी आ रहा है, सो वो एक बोलती है चलो जाके पीटते हैं उसको, बोले यार छोड़ दे यार, हम दो हैं, वो अकेला है, you know. What can you do? बोलने में क्या जा रहा है? But if you have the power, then still you forgive. That is considered to be glorious. So devotees, they have the power. Rishi Shamik also knew that Lord does not forgive a person who has committed offense to a devotee. Lord can only give direction to take shelter of a devotee. He thought within himself that if Maharaj Parikshit would counter curse the boy, he might be saved. But he knew that a pure devotee is callous about worldly advantages. So he thought, he should be cursed. At least if he counter curses, then, whatever reaction, abhi aa jayega, So that's how a devotee thinks. Just like when Amogha, he criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he got cholera. He was dying. And Mahaprabhu, he delivered him. So Amogha, Sarvam Bhattacharya, he said, Mahaprabhu, why did you deliver him? He should have died. My daughter should have become a widow. That would have been better. So that is how a devotee thinks that abhi usko mil jayega uska reaction, then he will not have to suffer in the future. But a devotee never ever retaliates. He always thinks, okay, it is the mercy of the Lord. But Lord takes it seriously. Even if a devotee forgives, even if a devotee doesn't take it seriously, Lord takes it seriously. That was the case of Ambrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. As far as such things are concerned, in personal affairs, the devotees do not care for them. But in the case of their being performed against the Lord and his devotees, then devotees take very strong action. So personally, I don't worry. You can tell me anything. But if you speak anything against the Lord and the devotees, then I'll become like a thunderbolt. So that is how a devotee is. Next verse, translation.
The sage thus regretted the sin committed by his own son. He did not take the insult paid by the king very seriously.
Next, last verse. Okay, we'll recite this. Prayasha sadhavo loke parair-dvandveshu yojitah navyathanti narishyanti yatatma gunashrayah.
Generally, the transcendents, even though engaged by others in the dualities of the material world, are not distressed, nor do they take pleasure in worldly things, for they are transcendentally engaged. Hare Krishna.
Prayashaha, generally, sadhavo loke, the transcendentalists in this world, parair-dvandveshu yojitah, even though engaged by others in the dualities. So Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee, but he was engaged in dual situations because of others. Na vyathanti, they are not distressed. Na rishyanti, nor do they take pleasure. Whatever comes, it is by the mercy of the Lord. Yat atma guna shrayaha, because they are transcendentally engaged. So they see always the hand of the Lord in every situation. So that is a vision of a devotee. So when somebody is tolerant and if somebody is forgiving, then he creates a favorable consciousness for Krishna to appear in the heart. And that's what is the case of Parikshit Maharaj, because he is tolerant and he is forgiving. So therefore, Krishna appeared in the form of Srimad Bhagvatam in front of him through the representative of the Lord. So that is the end of this chapter. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
नमो नमः श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
जय वंशा कल्पतरु भस्य कृपा सिंधु देव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो हरे कृष्ण।